Hey.
Um, oh no, wait, my opening. I forgot about that. Hold on. Opening, here we go. I forgot my countdown and my opening and everything. I was just staring, being so excited.
It's like, hey, we're live.
Yeah, we're live. Oh wait, we had a few things to do first, huh?
Ooh, we got lots of comments. Okay.
Yeah, everybody's here. Well, not everybody yet, but quite a few lovely people as well. Well, in fact,
Howdy.
everybody here's lovely. Oh wow, look at them all. Oh, shall we say? Wait, shall we introduce you and
Sure.
then me, and then say hi to the side chat?
Sure.
Okay. So, would you like to say your name and which pronouns you're most comfortable with?
I am the Rob. I have a YouTube channel where I talk about science, astronomy. I refer to it as Rob World because I have certain opinions which are not shared by everyone. Namely, that to give you an example, one of them is that the last Airbender movie never happened. That does not exist in Rob World. As for my pronouns, I go by he, him, his. So,
Okay. That's great. And well, I'm Ette, and I go by any pronouns. And thanks, Critical. You've just given me an awesome segue into one of the things I'm wanting to say today. Just a casual, gentle reminder to everybody here that we're doing our best to stay wholesome um, and try not to get too dirty. And this is not a challenge side chat. Yous will be getting a waggy finger in the not fun way. So, shall we see who else is here other than Critical, who will be in the naughty corner shortly? So there is Brainless, hello. Demon Orb, I never noticed you sneak in there. Betty and Danish, yay Linda! And your name, I always struggle to say it. Archangel.
Archangelus Lunae,
Yep.
maybe?
Arch, the lovely Arch. And Mr. Pony. And Christina. Mr. Wonderful as well. And anybody else lurking that wants a hello? Micro and Dora.
Mm-hmm.
And Julian, hello, you made it. Yay! I've got a bit of an echo.
Oh, hopefully it's not for mine.
I don't know. Do I need to turn my mic down a little bit? I don't know how to work these things. I mean, okay, I turn my mic down a little bit.
Speaking of subs, do you have any plans for a 100 sub special?
100 sub special. I hope that if I get 100 subs, I could maybe get a group of us all and we could maybe have an after hours party that's live.
Hey, okay.
Yeah, it would be like an open invitation. Naughty language would be welcome. So yeah, if somebody can suggest how I can not echo, I would love that.
You don't sound like you're echoing to me, but
No?
No?
I'm starting to hear myself. Now I'm confused.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Just wondering if do I have anything open? No. Let
Wait,
me
did I
close
mute? Yes, I did mute that.
that. Yeah, I had to make sure that there was nothing coming from my YouTube station.
And Brindley says
Tweet where
maybe some headphones, Rob, if you can. If not, and it's not comfortable, I feel like we can bear with the echo. You know what, Micro? I would love to talk with Chase about drag for several hours.
I would
That
love to
would
hear
make
that
me so
conversation.
happy. Well, you would be happy to join. And Julian, I think if I turned it off and tried to turn it back on, I would not find myself. I think I would be very lost. Are we still echoing now?
I think I need to turn on um,
See, I
that.
never heard myself until we started, so this is why I'm confused.
Huh. Where is my? Huh.
No? Oh no, Julian, I forgot what you were saying no to.
How about now?
Hmm. Hello?
Hello.
Hi there.
How is the? How is the? Is there echo now?
I don't feel like. Oh, mute Rob. Oh, but that's mean.
No.
Oh, there's no echo now. Thanks, Julian, and thanks everybody who helped. Yay, no
Aha.
echo.
Okay.
So,
Now I know that it's on my end, so I need to figure out a way to fix that. Oh, I have no idea. All right.
I think maybe the mic picks up the sound from the computer.
Yeah, I think the mic might. I'll turn that down. I think the mic might pick up the speaker, so I think I need to come up with some better arrangement for everything here.
Are you okay with your headphones on, or is it
Yeah,
comfy up
it's just it's a little weird because I can hear myself in the headphones,
there?
so it's
Oh,
kind of like I have my own echo,
you have your own
but
echo? Oh
but
dear.
that's all right.
Yes, exactly, Mr. Pony. Behave, my crow. Second warning to his peoples in the side chat. We're gonna be good today, So, Rob,
Hmm.
would you like to start introducing us to some of your hobby?
Okay, I certainly would. So the first hobby that I would like to talk about, and if we get to a second, great. But if the first hobby I'd like to talk about is astrophotography, I know it's kind of
Woo!
a you've already had a guest that talked about astrophotography, and so I don't know how they do it. Astrophotography is a rather large hobby. Some people do it using cameras attached to smaller telescopes, DSLRs. I have the privilege of being able to use a larger telescope and using what is known as a CCD camera or a charged couple device. And
Oh.
so my techniques are probably a little different than the average citizen
Mhm.
scientist. I call them citizen scientists. I don't call them amateur astronomers because um, they are far. A number of them are far beyond amateur at this point. The work that they do with their the astrophotography far surpasses what I can do. So yeah, let's see. So is it possible for me to share my screen?
Yeah, also, Julian just said this. This might be able to help you.
Turn one of the feeds off. Mute YouTube. I don't have YouTube currently open. Um,
Okay.
and I don't
I've
know.
muted
Discord
Discord.
is weird for me in that for some reason I can never get the audio settings on Discord to actually work out. But why would
Mm, I
Discord?
think, I don't know. To
Hmm.
be fair, I could hear my Discord was pinging, so I could hear my Discord. So that might be
Ah,
that. I don't know.
well, let's see. Let me just mute Discord.
Oh,
There we go.
Brainless is safe. Oh no, this has turned into solve this problem. But hopefully it helps you and makes you more comfortable.
Oh no,
Do you use voice meter?
no, I don't. I don't even know what
Ah,
voice meter is.
to be fair, I've only heard things about moist feeder, moist feeder.
Moist meter, moist
I need to go
reader.
back to bed. And you know what? I was going to have like a slightly less wholesome shots fired chat stream where it was like it would be like all the astrophysicists or people that were interested in it together in the same stream and then argue their points about what's better and why.
I could, yeah, that would be something I'd be into. I mean, I am very much, in terms of astrophotography, I am very much of an amateur in that. Um, I don't get nearly as much time to play around with it as I would like.
Hmm.
And speaking of Tusk, we had in Crafty stream we were talking that we were hypothesizing that maybe the two of you were out hunting with dragons. I can't
Oh,
remember
you
what you
know
guys were
what?
supposed to be hunting.
I did
Yet.
see a dragon, um, but we were specifically on the hunt for an axolotl plushie.
Did you get one?
No, they
Oh,
only sold them online,
that's just wrong.
and they're out of stock.
Well, that I can see. That I can understand.
It broke my heart. I was sitting in Build-A-Bear with all the plushies in front of me, like, why are none of you an axolotl?
Did you at least get a dragon?
No, but I have a bearded dragon.
Oh, okay.
She's pretty cool. Oh, but this is not about me. So would you like to say why you got into astrophotography? Like what drawn you
Sure.
to it?
Well, let's go way back and actually talk about how I got into astronomy in general. And so,
Ooh.
I have always been in love with science, and actually, prior to my, I guess, conversion into astronomy, I actually wanted to be a geneticist. I literally wanted to be a mad, Frankenstein doctor, and create my own life, that sort of thing. And then
Awesome.
around in the seventh grade, I read in my physical science textbook a article about Vera Rubin, and Vera Rubin is the astrophysicist who first hypothesized the existence of dark matter. She basically was looking at the rotations of galaxies and realized that they were rotating far faster than they should, given the amount of light that we could see, the amount of mass that we could see. And I don't know what it is about that article, but it just fascinated me, and I just fell in love with astronomy ever since.
Mhm.
And so, the reason why I love astronomy is, somewhat varies. At some points, it's because I want to find alien life. At other points, it was cosmology itself. It was how did the universe come into being? Answer the really big questions. Um, and so I've always been around. So when I went into college, I had the opportunity to be around very large telescopes, or at least larger than most people are accustomed to. And I was able to see these beautiful images that were coming out with the data that we were taking. And so typically, when we use these telescopes, we're looking at star fields. But occasionally, I would see people who were just, when they had the time, would point it at a nebula or a galaxy and just take pictures for the fun of it. And I was like, you know what, I want to give that a shot. I want to see if I can make because the heavens to me are just beautiful to the point. It. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Contact with Jodie Foster.
I'm gonna have to quickly look it up, but go on.
So the movie Contact, just briefly, is a story that is partially true. It's based on the life of Jill Tarter and Carl Sagan, and the idea is that the main character Jodie Foster hears a signal from outer space, and it turns out to be from extraterrestrial life, and it turns out to be instructions on how to build this apparatus so that we could actually go and communicate with them. And so, it kind of like a spaceship, but different. You'd have to see the movie in order to appreciate it. But
Yeah, I
the
just looked it up. I've not seen it, but I will have to put that on a list of to watch. Thank you for the
it is a good wholesome movie. um, and what struck me, or what always sticks with me with that movie, is when she gets in the spacecraft and gets launched out, and she sees the cosmos in front of her. She says, "They should have sent a poet," and that's how I feel about when I actually view the night sky and are able to appreciate its beauty. Is there's just so much beauty and just wonder in the universe that
Mhm.
it's sometimes overwhelming. And so, what I try to do is, in my little part, I try to capture that as much as I can in terms of grabbing pictures of it.
Oh, see, now I'm like, wow, now I see it very different. I thought in a way, like, oh gosh, this is going to sound a little silly, but I thought, it was like not, well, this is going to, I don't know how to say it, so I can say it wrong and then we can fix it.
Okay.
But I mean, like, when you take pictures of them things, I thought obviously you learn stuff from them, right?
Hmm.
But I felt like it was just so beautiful, and that could have been why it all started. As well. I feel silly for saying that, but there's so much involved in it, as well as it just being so beautiful, and you
Yeah,
can learn so much, huh?
it is. It is. Yeah, I mean, when I first got introduced to astrophotography, as it were, it's because I was sitting at the telescope with grad students, and um, they were they were looking at basically asteroids, which I gotta say,
Oh,
kind of boring actually, because an asteroid through the telescope that we had looks like just a point of light, just a
oh,
normal looking star. So basically, we're looking at a star field, and that was pretty cool. And I was fascinated by what we were actually doing, because what we were doing was we were looking at how the light from the asteroid varied over time, and we were using that to actually calibrate the instruments for a satellite that was going to be launched. So all of that, from an intellectual point of view, all of that was fascinating and beautiful. But it wasn't until they, and I can't even remember what object it was. I typically default to the Orion Nebula because that's my favorite image or favorite object. But they showed me something like a galaxy or nebula, and I was like, "Wow, that I need
yeah.
to figure out whether or not I can do that." So yeah, it
Oh,
was it definitely one. My love of astronomy led into my love of astrophotography. But like I said, unfortunately, I don't get a lot of time uh, to take the images, and I certainly don't get a lot of time to actually devote to playing around with them. And it astrophotography is more of an art than a science. And so it really is trying to figure out just how to tease out the right colors and get things to be nice, sharp, and in focus. So
it wasn't until Steve was talking about the different lenses you can put on telescopes to bring out different things. So I realized that this is also going to sound really silly, but to realize that that's what you needed to bring out the different colors. I thought like that was the different color. That was what they were. That's the color. So they come out that picture, like kind of like, well, I would say like normal photography, but obviously you do little things to bring out things. But it's so much more um extreme, I feel.
Yeah, I was gonna. It, the term that came to mind was knob fiddler, and that I have musician friends, and they sometimes refer to certain musicians as knob fiddlers, in that they're constantly messing with the certain knobs on devices in order to make the sound how they want it to be. And
Yeah.
so with astrophotography, you can have folks that are very much like knob fiddlers. I'm probably in that category where you're constantly using Photoshop or whatever piece of software to just constantly tweak the image to bring out what details you like, and so forth. So it is, and from what I'm hearing, Steve and I do a different type of astrophotography, because I actually don't use lenses. There's no way for
Ah,
me to swap out lenses. So I have a certain field of view, and I have a certain perspective, and I'm I hate to say the word stuck with it, but that's the um, that's kind of where I'm at. Is that I
yeah.
can't zoom in on anything. I can't really optically zoom in on anything or zoom out on anything. So I have to. I what I see in my images is what I have.
Ah. And
Ah,
Chris is asking if you stack images to make them clear.
that is an excellent question. So there is a technique called track and stack, and
Oh,
um, all right. How to best describe it? So there are two ways you can get images, and so one of
oh.
them is filters. Oh yes, I
Ah,
definitely use filters.
sorry, I said lenses. Sorry, thanks, Dora. Sorry.
Yeah, I definitely use different filters. So there are two ways you can take an image. You can take a really long exposure. Basically, you can open up your shutter and allow light to come in and stream onto your sensor for a really long time. Or you can do the what's known as track and stack, where you take short exposures, but you take many of them and then add them together. And there are pros and cons to both techniques. Track and stack is useful, particularly if you do not have a telescope system that is stable in terms of tracking or guiding. So a telescope is motorized so that it basically tracks the night sky as it goes around, very close to a 15 degree per hour drift. But if the alignment isn't properly set up, or the motor isn't properly calibrated, then the telescope may not be able to keep in pace with the star, and so the star appears to shift in your field of view, if that makes sense. And so you'll get kind of, if you take a really long exposure, you'll actually get star trails across
No,
your field of view.
is that not kind of cool though? Or is
It is
that
kind of cool,
not
but if you
right?
want to take a good, a pretty, like if you're wanting to take a nice still image, it kind of ruins the
Not
effect.
gonna happen that.
So, um, yeah, what was I going to say? So if you track a stack, you can take very short exposures. You don't have to worry about whether or not your telescope is tracking overly precisely. So long as the stars still appear to be point-like, you're good, and you just add them all up. And what that does is that it signal, which what we call signal, or the light from coherent objects like stars, nebulae, that sort of thing, that adds pretty linearly. But the background noise from the sky or from your instrument or what have you, that adds as the square root. And so what you do is, when you stack the images, the source, the signal, rises very quickly, whereas the noise doesn't rise nearly as much. And that allows you to get better contrast in your image. You're able to see fainter things better than or you're able to see fainter things next to brighter things easier. So,
Ah, that makes sense.
yes, track and stack does work with alt-az mounts. So long as your telescope is tracking at a sidereal rate, you can do track and stack. Um,
Huh.
well, I will step back on that for one moment, and I will say that
Okay.
it just occurred to me that um, one of the things you will need with an alt-az mount is what's called a field derotator. So,
Field zero
um,
data.
all right. So if you have what's called an equatorial mount, that that moves. That's basically, so. This is your mount. This is your telescope.
Yeah.
The mount is pointed towards the North Star, and so your
Mhm.
degrees of motion are this way, which is right ascension, and declination, which is this way. And the telescope will track the stars as it goes across in right ascension over time. In that process, the field of view will look the same regardless of, if your tracking is perfect, the field of view will not change over the course of the entire night. But for alt
Mhm.
as you have a telescope mount that looks like this, and your telescope is pointing like this. Here you have altitude and then azimuth going this way. What happens is, as you track across the sky, if you do not have one of these, what's called a field derotator, is that the field of view is going to appear to rotate over time, basically because of the angle of the telescope with respect to the sky. So if you have a field derotator with an alt-az, then you can track and stack. But if you don't, then you're going to get basically weird star trails if you do it that way.
Mhm.
So yes, that was an extra question.
I think I'm going to be learning a lot today.
Like I said, if I start getting too into the weeds, please let me know.
No, no, we are happy to listen. The whole point of this show is to not tell somebody to shut up. So Connie will start doing it ever. It's, yeah, wow.
So,
My brain's just
let me say,
processing that.
the advantage of taking a really long exposure,
Mhm.
and that's just something that I'm actually working on with our telescope, is that our telescope is good for about 10 minutes, and then once you're once you start taking exposures longer than 10 minutes, the stars become basically ovular. They become, you can see that they're distorted because the telescope isn't tracking properly. And so
Mm.
we just bought a new system where we can what's called auto guide, where we basically are able to image part of the sky on the outside of the normal field of view, find a star, and then basically just the telescope will image that star, and then it will send corrections to the mount to keep that star right in the center. And so theoretically, you could expose all night on one particular object.
Hmm.
Um, could you do that in image processing? I imagine you could. I imagine you could do, if you're talking about the field derotating. I imagine you could. Well, yes, I will. I will definitely say that you could do that because one of the processes that goes into this is you have to, what we call, register the images. You have to basically make sure that if you have 10 images, you want to make sure that the stars are in the right pixels for each of the images so that it stacks properly. Oh,
Beep, beep, boop.
my thingy is making noises. Oh, I think that was
Purple.
Discord.
Wow, your Discord makes a cool noise.
I think that was Discord. I have no idea. Let's just start making noises. Um, so yeah, you could in fact do it uh, with image processing software. I I have never actually used an Altaz telescope for astrophotography. So I don't know. I've never had to encounter that problem or deal with that particular issue, but yeah, you could do it. So how about
I was about to
I?
say, so could you maybe show us some examples of the images?
I can certainly do that. Let me see if I can bring up my share my screen.
Oh, remember just to have everything private you don't want to share covered or
Gotcha.
out of the way. Just another one, but just a warning about that.
Window. Here we go.
Dora agrees.
All right. So, can you see a blank gray screen?
I can. Shall I add that up now?
Sure.
Boop. There we are.
I need to blow my nose real quick.
Okay.
Excuse me.
That's okay.
Allergies.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, allergies are nuts. All right. So let's go with something um, pretty first before I get into kind of the weeds of things. So let's go with one of my early attempts. Right, is
Could
it
you
this one?
sing?
Nope. Yes, that is one of my earlier attempts. This is M15. Actually, I'm going to go with. I've got a better image of that later. This is M74. This is a spiral galaxy, otherwise known as a grand design spiral galaxy, where you have
Oh,
the central region and then you have the spiral arms which come off the central bulge. And the blue areas, the blue dots that you see, those are
mhm.
actually areas of active star formation.
What?
So there are stars being born as you were looking at that particular galaxy.
Oh, wow.
So when I say that this is one of my first attempts, the reason why I say that is because, um, like I said, this is astrophotography is more of a an art than a science, and one of the things that you have to balance is this is, I believe, a track and stack image. This image or this data is nearly 15 years old at this point, so it's I don't actually remember what all went into this one, what all the images were that went into this. I could find out, but anyway,
Mm.
I didn't quite. One of the things you have to be cognizant of with track and stack is, and
Mhm.
this is a track and stack image. This is what is called a three color track and stack image. And so, one of the things you have to be really aware of is, in order to build signal, you have to have signal to start off with, meaning that you have to have an exposure time long enough in order to see signal from really faint objects or really faint parts of the image. And then once you have that, then you can stack it and hopefully bring out that finer detail. So when I took this image, I wasn't quite able to. I didn't quite accommodate for that, and so a lot of the outer edge of the galaxy I couldn't really image very well because of the fact that I just didn't have long enough exposures for the individual frames. The other thing to look at is, while the stars are white, the galaxy is very purplish. That's
Mhm.
not what you would actually see if you were to, say, get in a spaceship and go look at it. It would be
Oh.
bluer. It would be blue, but it
Oh.
wouldn't quite be that blue. So one of the other things that I'm particularly not very good at is what we call color balance. Trying to get the colors, the blue colors, the green colors, and the red colors, getting those all balanced together to make a what we call a true image or a true color image. That is something that I struggle with in terms of getting that right.
That does sound like that's a really difficult thing to do, though. Like,
Yeah, it's You really need to know. So telescopes are. So I use different filters, as was mentioned before, and so the filters that I use are blue, what's known as visual, which is really green, and then red. And so what the filter does is it blocks out all of the light except for that particular. So blue blocks out all light but blue, green blocks out all light but green, red, so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so because those are the three primary colors, you can combine them and get a true color image, as it were. But what you need to know is that telescopes are not equally sensitive in the blue part of the spectrum, the green part of the spectrum, or the red part of the spectrum. Green and red, typically, depending on your camera and your telescope system, they'll be close, but blue is going to be typically much fainter. It's going to be much less sensitive to blue light than green or red. One of the ways that we talk about that is something called quantum efficiency. And I know quantum efficiency sounds like a big word, but basically it's how many photons does the detector actually catch. So if you throw 10 or 100 photons or 100 parcels of light at
Mm-hmm.
the detector and it catches 50 of them, and then the other 50 either bounce off or just pass through or what have you, then that quantum efficiency is 50%. It catches half the light that you shine onto it. For systems that I typically deal with, for green and red, it's around 75 to 85%. But for blue, it can be all the way down to like 25 to 40%. So, in order to balance those colors correctly, you need to know how much the sensitivity of your instrument. So, what I tend to do, let's see if I have an example of that. What I tend to do is, particularly when I was first starting out, where is that image? No, actually, this is pretty good. What I typically do is I make them too red, or I made them too red, which is probably
That's
why this one's a little
pretty.
bluish.
That
This one
is
actually is
really
pretty
pretty.
good. This one I have to say I think I actually went back and re-reduced this one. This is M81. This is another one of those spiral galaxies, very much
Mm.
like M74, where you have this nucleus of middle-aged stars, and then you have these spiral arms where stars are actively being formed. And again, you can see the purplish blue areas are where the stars are actually being formed. The galaxy is actually much larger than this, but because the density of stars becomes so diffuse as you move away from it, it's really hard to image them or capture them. Um, so,
Ah.
one way that you can try to do that, and hopefully this doesn't blow up on me.
Uh-oh. For Mistress for No Reason says that that's seriously one of her favorite galaxies.
M or M81.
Waiting for a reply to that.
So what I've done over here is I have sort of one of the other things that you have to worry about or have to be considerate of when doing astrophotography is that while you have a large range in the number of uh, parcels of light or photons in each individual pixel, the computer can only has a certain amount of channels in which to display all of that. And so typically there are about 255 channels where it can display white as white and black as black. So
Yeah.
depending on how you do that, you can get the image to look much different. And so like so. So what I'm doing here is I am basically setting anything that has, like right there, I'm setting anything that has 40,000 photons in it, or 40,000 counts or less. I'm setting that to be black. Whereas everything else is some combination of gray or well, in this case, colors. And so what you can see is if I by doing this, you can bring out different types of features. Like if I pull this all the way out, you can see the nucleus or the center of the bulge very, very clearly. And so, like I said, you can spend a lot of time trying to just trying to make these things as pretty as you can.
Oh, that was cool. Wait,
There.
yeah. You see
Yeah,
how
this.
many? You can see all the baby stars.
Mhm. And that's one of the reasons. That's one of the things I love most about. Let me see if I can actually bring up an example of this. Which would be best? Let's see here. Why can't I open? Oh, that's why. Um, is yes, that was when I was in Atlanta. Wow, that was a long time ago. Oops. One of the things I love about taking filters is let's see here. Let's do. Oh, actually, let me kill this real quick. Sorry, I meant to be more organized with this
Hey, don't you
presentation.
worry yourself. While you're doing that, and if it's not too much of a bother, Brainless is asking how long have you been doing this?
Oh, let's see. I've been doing astrophotography for oh, going on off and on um, 20, 20 years, something like that.
Wow.
I'm trying not to get down on myself and think to myself, hey, I should be better at this by now. Uh,
No, no, don't you do that.
but yeah, I've been at this for off and on for like 20 years, something like that. So yeah, it's definitely something I've just been coming back um, to try to get as good as I can to improve as best I can over time.
Hmm.
And so here we have two images. One of them is taken in the blue filter, and one of them is taken in the red filter. And so you can see that these are when we take the individual frames, they are black and white.
Yeah.
It's a monochrome sensor. And so what I really like is so there is a little bit difference because, like I said, the sensitivity red is more sensitive than blue, and so you can see a lot more background stars in the red than you can in the blue. But if you look at the nebula itself, and so this is the Dumbbell Nebula or M27. Let's see if I can zoom in on it. You can see that there is in the red part of the spectrum, there's a lot more structure. There's a lot more structure in the red part of the spectrum than there is in the blue part of the spectrum. And that's because of the temperature difference. When you're sampling the different colors, really what you're doing is you're sampling different temperatures. And so blue is
Oh,
hotter than red. And so
what?
what you get here, yes, in astronomy, blue is hotter than red. Uh,
That doesn't feel right.
the only people who would really uh, kind of know, like intuitively know what I'm talking about, are welders. Um, welders,
Oh, yeah, when it gets so hot that it is blue.
yeah,
Right. Okay, cuz I'm thinking about you're going to hate me, but I'm thinking about the shower knob where it's like cold hot, cold
no,
hot. So we should change this around, yeah?
yeah, it's in the taps, it's the blue is typically cold and red is typically hot. But I think that actually has a biological reason because when the body gets cold, it becomes bluer. When the body gets
Oh,
hot, it
yeah.
becomes redder. So I think that's where that originally came from.
So this is a whole different it's so hot that it's blue again.
Yes. So So with the so what we're seeing here is in the blue part of the spectrum, we're seeing that there is not a whole lot of gas that is actually really, really hot, or hotter, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Or in the red part of the spectrum, you can see it's cooler gas, and there's a lot more structure to it. And you can see that this gas is primarily composed of hydrogen, which radiates most of its light in the red part of the spectrum, as opposed to the blue. The blue is primarily going to be oxygen and nitrogen, and I'll show a three-color image of this as well.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, please do.
well, I can do it right now. I need to
Yay!
find facts.
I love the pitch.
They are kind of the star attraction, pun intended.
I do love that one there.
This is one of this one I have to say is one of my favorites.
So
Where are you? M27.
I would love that, like, as well as a thing. Like, I don't know. Could you maybe put it in a resin piece and into a necklace? Like a thing.
I don't know. That is far beyond my abilities.
Oh,
But so this
that's
is
cool.
basically the same image. I've just because the image is actually, if I were to, this is what the image looks like 100%. So so it's very big. So I was able
Mm.
to crop it down and actually crop it and only look at the central region of it. And so you can see there's the red part of the spectrum, or the red part of the gas, which is primarily composed of hydrogen. This greener part of the gas is composed of oxygen. And what I love about this image, although, like I said, it is a bit redder than I would like, but what I love about this image is this is essentially what the sun is going to look like in about 4.5 billion years from now. Um, the sun is
Oh.
going to, yeah, the sun is going to, whether we like it or not, the sun is going to blow off its outer layers. It's first, it's going to
Mm.
get so large that all the planets out to Mars are going to be incinerated, and then
Uh-oh.
it's going to violently shake itself apart, and the outer layers of the star are going to basically start be shot outward. I hesitate. I don't want to use the word explode because that's supernovas, but it will. They will be shot outward with a certain amount of force, and um, return, that gas will return to the interstellar medium, or ISM as we like to say, and new stars will be born from the bodies of old stars.
Oh.
There's this what we call galactic recycling. You may have heard, and I like to end my content with the fact that we are all literally stardust.
Yeah, that's actually one thing that if I'm having a really bad day, like a really, really bad day, like that little idea that I'm made up of stardust does make my heart happy.
Yep.
It does make me feel a tiny bit better.
There
Because,
are atoms in your body that were at one point in the insides of a star or in a supernova. So we were all born in that sort of environment in a sense. So yeah, I too like to think of myself. I too like to think of that when I'm feeling a little darkish, as it were.
I
But
mean, how
mhm.
beautiful the stars are, and the fact that they're part of us and we're part of me.
I am a huge fan of cycles. I am a huge uh, fan of
Mm.
things beginning, evolving, and then ending, and then re-beginning again. One of my tattoos is an Ouroboros, and so it to me it
Ooh.
symbolizes that sort of cyclic cycle of. So it's right. Let's see if I can. It's right here. So the
I,
snake eating its
I'm
own
gonna have
tail.
to try and how do one?
Oh, let
Nope,
me. Can I?
nope, wrong person. Also wrong thing. Um,
So let's see here. Snake. eating its own tail.
Oh,
Oh,
that's definitely not you. That's here we go. This is as close as I can get. I'm sorry.
no, that's all right. And then there's this snakehead right there.
Oh, yeah.
So, and
Okay.
this tattoo is Aries. I do not buy into astrology at all, but I like it's basically for me it's a totem. I like the
Ah,
positive qualities of Aries, and so it reminds me to do that, to
uh-oh.
be that one.
See, I was about to get all excited and be like, I'm a Gemini.
I am an Aries. Like I don't want to put anyone down for believing in astrology. Although I have to say that more than likely the star that you or the sign that you believe you were born under, weren't actually born under because of something
Yeah.
called precession.
What was it? I did my.
Hashtag free Rob.
Sorry. I'm getting cancelled now.
No,
Oh
don't cancel Eddie.
no.
I have three. I have that one. I have Aries. I have Ouroboros, and then I have a Firebird up. Well, actually, show it to you
Oh,
right
at this point, I think I've actually lost count.
here.
Uh-oh.
I saw that Danish got a new one, and I'm like, you know what? I
Yeah.
need to make an appointment to get
Yeah.
another ink done.
Let's all do it. Let's all get stabby dabbied.
Um, let's see.
Was that? I can't tell if that was a serious question, Dora, or not. Um, so if it is a serious question, feel free to retype it. But if you're not being serious, oh no. Hashtag Rob
So
Lives Matter.
no. Um. So I
Oh.
will say this, that Uranus is composed of. So all right. So the early universe, when the universe was first born, the only three elements that were in existence were hydrogen, which comprised around 75%. There was helium, which comprised around 24%, and then lithium, which comprised everything else. There were no elements at all, no other elements at all at the very, very start of um, so start of the universe. So the periodic table was really, really boring. It had three elements, and so all of the other elements that we see are because of this cyclic process of stars being formed, which then generate higher species of or heavier species of atoms like oxygen, carbon,
Mhm.
nitrogen, and then that getting released into the ISM either through something not so violent like our sun dying or something
Oh
really
no.
violent like a supernova. But the
I'm
but
not
the
scared.
but one of the oh, don't be scared, it's going to happen in 4.5 billion years.
Yeah, but
So if you're
maybe
still around in 4.5 billion years, I think you have other things that you're more concentrating on.
I for sure will be.
I am going to be or die trying. That's my policy.
Yeah.
Um, so I think to answer Dora's question is that Uranus is primarily composed of hydrogen and helium, which is also the primary constituents of the sun. But is called an ice giant because it has a larger concentration. It's cold enough that has a larger concentration of methane and ammonia ice in its upper atmosphere. So it is. I can't remember exactly what her question was, but yes, it is. Uranus.
I, I thought
Like I
that
said,
was
I
just
don't know if it was a serious question or not. I'm going to treat it as if it was a serious question and say yes. Uranus is also composed of stars. I will not call it the other name because I deliberately, as I mentioned on the plot hole, I deliberately call that planet by its wrong name. So, uh, Firebird Relational Database Server. I have to admit ignorance on that score. I don't know. I don't know that Firebird. Really, it's. I wanted a Phoenix. This was my first tattoo, and it was in Venice Beach, California, which is just an awesome place to begin with. And I really wanted a Phoenix, but the artist was not being very cooperative, and so this was the closest that I could get. And I was like, you know what? I don't care. I'm in Venice, Venice, California, and I'm getting a tattoo, so
This
that is
one.
good for me. Yes, there is methane in Uranus. Yes.
Oh dear.
Oh, Tusk is saying that hot dogs are not sandwiches. Au contraire, I can argue that hot dogs are sandwiches all day long now, thanks to Tequila's training.
Ah.
You missed out on that debate. You missed out on our opening. So Keela is having basically workshops on agree to disagree.
Oh
And
yeah,
so
that was on the server, and because Tusk was there, I was like, "You have fun with your friends," and I'll sit out so that we can do different things today. I think because we were really glued to each other that day as well.
aw, must be nice.
I don't know. Have you spent time with Tusk?
Sadly,
I'm
no.
I'm kidding.
But yeah, so Rory and he took the con position, I took the pro position, and we gave our opening statements. That I think I made a very convincing argument that hot dogs are in fact sandwiches, and Rory had a nice rebuttal for it. So there is methane in Neptune. There are trace amounts of methane in Saturn and Jupiter as well, just not nearly as much. The reason why Uranus and Neptune are blue is because of the amount of methane that they have in their upper atmospheres. So if there were sort of an equal amount or equal share in both Jupiter and Saturn, those planets would also be blue.
And so it's blue because the stars were newborn and for the methane?
Yes. So the blue color comes from it comes from both temperature and chemical composition. So it depends both on how hot the gas is. If the overall gas is very, very hot, it really doesn't matter what's in it. It's going to be blue. But if the gas is cold enough, then the color is dominated by the chemical species. It depends on what the gas is actually composed of, and that tells you what the color is. So, yes, blue things are generally stars. Blue things are hotter. If it's a planet, blue things tend to have more methane in them. Let's see here. What else do we have? I know I have another picture. There.
Yay, more pictures!
Is it this one? Nope, that's not that one.
There's a lot of stars there.
Yes. Let's see. Where did I? Where is it?
Oh, look. I just noticed the one has the cross. So it was like the
Oh yeah, that's called a diffraction pattern.
I'm trying my best to remember the name. I swear, Steve, I remembered. Just not the name.
So yeah, if you have if the star that you're looking at or the object that you're looking at is bright enough, you'll actually saturate the camera. It'll actually the camera cannot take any more light on those particular pixels, and when that happens, it tends to bloom out and make these diffraction patterns, which are it's really kind of lovely. And depending on the telescope, you can get different varieties. So here you can see this was taken with a telescope in a 24-inch telescope in Georgia, and so you have this kind of upright left to right diffraction pattern. This one was taken with our 32-inch telescope here in Virginia. I guess it'd be over there, and you have this sort of X pattern.
It's pretty.
Let's see.
I'm like, don't understand the science. It's pretty.
Yes, so Uranus and Neptune are blue because of methane, not because they are, in fact, warm bodies. They are actually very cold bodies. They are cold enough that you actually have ice in the upper atmosphere of the planet. Let's see. So what I was showing here is, if I can bring it back up, where'd the other one go? No. So here is M13. Oh yeah. So the Dora, the field of view is for this image, this one right here. That is 25 by 25 arc minutes. And so the idea, or the sun is half a degree or 30 arc minutes. And so if I were to somehow manage to take an image of the sun, which I couldn't with this telescope without melting a whole lot of stuff, it would fill this entire field of view, but only just barely. Another way of looking at it is if I wanted to, the moon is the same size as the sun, angular size of the sun. So they appear to be the same size in the night sky. Hence why you have those perfectly shaped eclipses that happen. So the moon is also 30 arc minutes or half a degree on the sky. And so if I were to take a picture of a full moon, I would almost get all of it in this field of view, but not quite. So basically, this is the size of a full moon. So this image right here is M13. M13 is the cluster in is the Great Cluster in Hercules. Now, globular clusters are cool in that they are some of the oldest structures in the universe. This particular cluster is probably around 100 billion, or not 100, 10 billion years old, whereas the universe itself is around 13.7 billion.
I get. I'm processing.
Who is our? Maybe the universities?
I'm not sure when you said our now.
Probably the university. If I'm guessing. But if I say it again, let me know and I'll see if I can remember.
Maybe you mean our is in like our planet and us, like
could be
us and.
I don't think I said arc minute. I didn't say arc hour. Yeah, I don't know. But with the globular clusters, like I said, these are the oldest structures in the universe. They formed first. So when our galaxy formed, globular clusters formed first on the outer edges of the galaxy, and then the galaxy formed underneath it. They're called globulars because they are globular in shape. They look like globs of stars. There are almost about 1 million of stars gravitationally bound, orbiting around the center of the thing. And you can see that over here. So what I've done is I've took an image of the entire, or as much of the clusters as I possibly could. You can see that it's actually much larger than what we... Oh, yes. I work for George Mason, and so our telescope is George Mason's telescope, really. So you can see that the number of stars, the density of stars drops off fairly precipitously as you move away from the center. And so there are a lot more stars out here, but they're harder to take pictures of because globular clusters are because they're so old, are almost entirely dominated by old faint stars. So the way it works is the bigger you are, the faster you burn out. So burn bright, die young is kind of the
Oh no.
star's motto. So if you are if you're a really massive star and you burn hot and blue, then you burn through your nuclear fuel much more quickly than you do if you were a smaller, less massive star. To give you an idea, um, O and B type stars, these are the biggest, bluest stars,
Mhm.
adult stars. They typically have temperatures that are, um, so our sun's surface is around 5,800 Kelvin. A O type star has a surface temperature around 40,000 Kelvin. So it's an order of magnitude hotter. Our sun will last around 12 billion years old overall lifetime, whereas a O type star will have a lifetime on the order of about 150 million years, thereabouts. So very quickly, astronomically speaking. So they burn out very quickly. So globular clusters, and it's kind of hard to see because again, color balance. But if you were to look at this through a telescope, you would be mostly dominated by the red. It would look more reddy orangish. But I was able to piece out some of the bluer stars, which I thought was kind of nice. Exactly, Kurgan. Um, Better to burn out than to fade away. And so yeah, it was hard to really uh, get a good from a big perspective like this, from a large field of view like this. It was, I wasn't really happy with the stars that I could get in the center, and so what I did was I zoomed in and cropped it and did some editing and was able to show you what the center of the cluster looks like to show you just how dense the stars are in the center of this cluster. There are, I would bet, I haven't done the calculation on this, but I would bet that if you were on a planet on the inside of this globular cluster, if somehow you were a planet was able to survive and have an atmosphere and have life on it, if you lived on that planet, the night sky would be as bright or nearly as bright as the daytime sky. There would be so many stars in your night sky so close to you that it would never be night because the stars would basically outshine the darkness that we normally see with the night. So,
Hmm.
because there are, like I said, there are a million stars in this small, relatively small portion of space.
Oh.
So, let's see. Now, the thing that I'm working on now, that is just taking me forever because I keep it's a learning process. Oh, speaking of learning process, this is this is the reason why I have this up. So this is one of my first attempts at a globular cluster. This was M15, which is actually slightly bigger than M13, and this is a color image. I know it looks mostly white, but it's you can see that there are some red stars in there as
I
well.
was about to say there is definitely like warm undertones,
Yes.
but not star warm. Remembering.
Yeah, there we go. Um, and um, and so this is one of the, like I said, this is one of my first attempts at imaging the interior of a globular cluster. And one of the things that I had to do is I didn't have the focus quite right with it, and so I had to use a procedure where I basically tried to squash down the stars and make them more point-like. And the you can see the residual of that with these dark rings. That's not real. That's because of processing that I did to the image, and
Oh.
I still didn't quite. I'm still not quite happy with it, but I'm much more happy with the M13. So I guess this is sort of to show you sort of the evolution that I've had in terms of imaging stars. I've gone
So
from
you have
this one
gone really
M15 to
far.
M13. So um, let's
The second one is a lot clearer.
Yeah, the where did it go? Come on.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I
the
said that just
focus
to put that away.
the
I
focus
wasn't
was
trying.
the focus is I was able to get a better focus on this image, and I think I was able to also get a better what I call depth of field. I was able to get smaller or fainter stars and brighter stars all in the uh, same image.
Mm.
So, but yeah, it definitely is. I was able to focus things a lot better in this one.
Hmm. You've come really far then.
I think so. I would like to think so. One of the things I've never done that I'm trying to do now is what's called a mosaic. So as we pointed out through Dora's question, this is well. I think this is 15 by 15 arc minutes. This particular image, although it's cropped, so I'm not entirely certain. But this image is well, no, that's cropped too. Uh, where is it? Um, let's we'll just go with that one. This is 25 by 25 arc minutes. There are certain things, there are certain objects in the night sky that are much bigger than that. The Andromeda Galaxy is one of them, and so in order to really get a full view of the Andromeda Galaxy, you actually have to mosaic the image, and the way you do that is through this process.
I think I think Steve maybe mosaicked. I think I remember him saying he mosaicked. Was it the witch's broom? It sounded
That's
similar.
familiar. That's familiar. That would be a large nebula.
I'll send you the link to that hobby corner if you haven't seen it.
I haven't had the chance to watch it yet, but it's definitely
So
on my list.
his pictures are amazing as well.
Awesome.
He's really awesome too. But I think he did that maybe with the Witch's Nebula. He like explained how to do it, but it's good that you're showing how as well on this too.
Yeah. So what I do is I basically you can see basically you move the telescope to different locations. This is a very simple mosaic. This I figured that I would try a two by two mosaic before I tried anything more fancy, and so this is the first one I started off with. So I took a picture of basically the upper left quadrant of Andromeda. Here is the central bulge of the galaxy, and this stuff you can see here that is part of the disk of the galaxy. Andromeda is the closest major galaxy to us at a mere 2.7 million light years away. Um, Eventually, or actually, in or about the time that the sun incinerates the Earth, the Andromeda
Um,
galaxy and the Milky Way galaxy are going to actually combine. They're going to collide against each other, and then all sorts of really cool stuff is going to happen. A lot more stars are going to form. It's going to be cats and dogs living together. It's just going to be chaos. Um, but
yay,
eventually, the Andromeda galaxy and the Milky Way galaxy are going to literally eat each other and form one big galaxy.
yay!
We refer to that as galactic cannibalism. Good stuff.
I
So,
like that.
so this is the upper left quadrant of it, and then I think this is the lower right quadrant.
Hmm.
So if you were to basically to make a mosaic, you take this first image and then you overlay this second one on it and match up the stars and try to make a bigger picture. And then this one is the lower right quadrant. So this kind of gives you an idea of
Ah,
where that's going.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then this is up here, kind of like that. And then this one's down here. Um, and so you have to. It's much trickier because not only do I have to stack all these images, so I have like five images for each of these quadrants. I have to register them. I have to align them so that the stars all match up, and I have to combine those. And then I have to get the backgrounds right. I have to basically stretch the windows so that the backgrounds are all equal, and then combine all of those into one bigger picture. And then
Oh,
I have to do that for so this is green, and then I have to do that for blue, and then I have to do that for red. And this
oh
is
my.
um, test run of. Nope, that's not the test run. That is a test run of one quadrant. So, and it's really just a test of just putting things together. But you can see that.
I can see all the little it's not swirlies, I don't think, but the lines and
Yeah, so the Andromeda has spiral arms, but they're not quite as distinguishable as the spiral arms of
yeah, so I
M77,
was
for
right.
example,
It was
or
spirals, but I doubted
M81.
myself.
Yeah, so it's not quite. It's kind of like this, only imagine Andromeda is more tilted. So you're, so let's see,
So
where'd it
at the
go?
angle, it's less swirly.
Yeah. Well, it's not less swirly. It's that you can't see the swirly nearly as well. So with M74, for example, this is what we call a face-on galaxy,
Yeah.
and so you're looking basically right down on top of it, and so you can see the spiral arms very distinctly. But if you take that, you look at it at a different angle. So that would be the M74 is if you're looking at it straight on. The M81 is if you were looking at it like this. Because of the amount of dust that is located in the galaxy, it kind of obscures the spiral structure of the galaxy itself. And then Andromeda is looking at it even more at an angle, and so it's really hard to piece out what these spiral arms look like. Now, this is a test of the three colors. This is a test of the mosaic. If I can find it, there it is. And what I can do is you can definitely see like the spiral arm structure, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to bring out some of the detail.
Can't whoop my budgie up. Oh.
So let me see if I can bring up one of the. Let's do that. Okay. Oops. So many pictures. So here is, for example, one of the four, and I'm going to actually.
Oh.
And so this is what you would be able to see with just a single image of the Andromeda Galaxy using our telescope. Is, like I said, a 25 by 25 arc minute field of view. This is roughly 40 by 40, although I think it's more like 40 by 35, but 40 across, 35 going down, roughly speaking. But you can see that you can actually see a lot more of the galaxy from left to right. These dust lanes, and so it's if you were able to, if your eyes were sensitive enough that you could see all of the Andromeda Galaxy, the Andromeda Galaxy would actually be larger than the full moon.
Really?
Yes, it is that large in the night sky. It's just because it is so far away, it is really faint. You can still see it naked eye. You can still see it without the aid of a telescope in a dark sky. It's hard for, it's almost impossible for me to show you where it is in the night sky just describing it. But if I'm ever in Scotland and Andromeda in the night sky, I will point it out to you.
You come and point it out to me.
Yes, I will definitely do that because it appears like a fuzzy blob, but the idea that for me one of the brilliant things about this is you can literally see billions of light or millions of light years away without even the aid of a telescope. The light from Andromeda is 2.7 million light years away, and that light can be seen without the aid of a telescope. So that idea that we're seeing even without a telescope, you can see light that old is just amazing to me. So,
Oh, more people have joined us. Mark and Ox. Hello there.
Andromeda's a baby galaxy? I don't know about that one. What do you mean by baby galaxy?
Wait, who's this?
This is Oxford saying this.
Oh, maybe. However, I found a 3-leafed clover in the image, which I'm pretty proud of.
In this image?
Yeah.
A 3-leaf clover?
Yeah, out of the dust and the top left.
Right here?
Yeah. That looks like yeah. It looks like a clover.
It does.
I got all excited when I spotted that. I was like,
it's like trying to find the goat on Keela's stream.
Spotted the clover. Yeah, I think it's really pretty, and I'd never noticed, like, that's what made me sort of see the gaps in the dust / swirlies, because before I just would look at the shape of it, but this one, it really made me look at the gaps in between as well.
Yeah, it's nice. Sometimes it's nice to actually just look at monochrome images. And one of the things that I really like doing, let's see if I can actually do it here, is looking at the negatives of
images. That's cool.
So here, white is black and black is white. And so, yeah, this one, looking at negatives, we really get to see what the structure of the gas looks like and the dust.
The clover is almost gone.
It's there, though. There's a stem. Yeah. There's one leaf. There's no leaf. There it is. So, yeah.
That's really neat.
Yeah, this part right here is probably my favorite part of the image, is just looking at that structure.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So, yeah.
I'm inching forward to my laptop to get widescreen. To get
I'm glad you like it.
See, at some point, you're gonna have to share this image so I can just stare at it for ages.
I will see what it's a big image, so I don't know if I can upload it to your Discord, but I will see what I can do.
Oh, and it's half the age of our galaxy. Is oxygen? Is it?
I was not aware of that. Although, to be honest with you, I don't know the age of the Andromeda Galaxy. I know its distance, I know its size, but I don't know its age. I would have expected it to be about the same age as the Milky Way galaxy.
Is that true? That we see it as if it was 2 million years ago?
Yes, that is true. Astronomers are time travelers in a way, although it's kind of a romantic notion. So yes, because the speed of light is constant and has a set speed, I guess that's redundant, but because the speed of light has a constant speed that is not infinitely fast, that's what I meant to say. It takes a while for that light that is emanating from stars in the galaxy to get to us. And so while 300,000 kilometers per second sounds like a really fast speed, if you're talking about these distances, like I said, it takes 2.7 million light years for something traveling at that speed to get from Andromeda to us. And so for example, if Thanos were able to snap his fingers and make Andromeda go away, we wouldn't know for 2.7 million years.
Does the negative give any info, or is it just pretty? Micro's asking, does the negative give any info, or is it just pretty? I think it does, because you can see other bits you wouldn't see properly more clear, so it maybe helps map. But then again, it's your thing.
No, it's that's a very interesting question. So one of the a lot of digital when astronomers were analyzing images, when they were first taking images, they did it on glass plates, and they didn't do it digitally. They literally took photographs of the night sky, and a lot of those they analyzed using negatives, because the reason for that is because the contrast between, for whatever reason with our eyes, the contrast between bright and dark is easier to see when you're looking at an image in a negative than you are in a positive. And so, in terms of galaxies would often be looked at in negatives because astronomers have a really kludgy way of defining things. So we have elliptical galaxies and we have spiral galaxies. Spiral galaxies, well, they look like spirals, and elliptical galaxies look like ellipticals, or ellipses, or really kind of like rugby balls, some of them anyway. But it's very subjective in terms of subdividing the elliptical galaxies into various subcategories, or spirals into subcategories. It's very subjective in the sense that it's really just what it looks like. And so when people were trying to analyze galaxies and group them together in order to better understand how these things formed or how these things evolve, they would look at images like this. They would look at negative images.
Oh. My brain just popped in several different ways. So amazing.
Yeah, we literally do not perceive our reality as it is happening instantaneously, because light is traveling at a defined non-infinite speed. Even though the light, it takes a certain amount of time for the light to go from your monitor to your eye. So you are not looking at your monitor as it is right now. You're looking at your monitor as it was milliseconds or nanoseconds ago. I mean, effectively it's now, but technically speaking, it's not. And astronomers really see this effect because we are looking at things at vast distances. So when we look at the sun, when we see, you could go to the Southern or the Solar and Heliocentric Observatory, or Solar and Heliographic Observatory, SOHO, SOHO. You can go to the SOHO website and you can look at images that are currently being taken of the sun as we speak. But that is not what the sun looks like right now. That is what the sun looked like 8 minutes ago. We cannot know what the sun is looking like right now until we actually go there and see.
This is spooky.
So yeah, it's really it's
in paranoia for a bit now. It's like my eyes isn't seeing what I think I'm seeing half the time. Oh no.
Except femtoseconds. There we go.
Oh yeah. Viewing negatives is very revealing. Please took a number plate images in the negative and the details become more vivid. It's the same for galaxy, I would imagine. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So when astronomers, as I was saying, astronomers were looking at the first images of galaxies and trying to classify them into some kind of coherent way, they would look at the negatives because that allowed them to see the detailed structure of the shape and size much more clearly than if they looked at it from a positive perspective.
Mm-hmm.
how many Kessel runs is that? Yes, Star Wars got many things wrong with astronomy. Saying that parsec is a time was one of them. Although I have heard geek apologists actually try to explain that one away, but I don't know if I want to geek out quite that much.
Uh-oh.
Horsehead Nebula speeding. Horsehead, that is one of my favorite objects. I really wish I had a picture to show you that. Unfortunately, I lost a good number of images so I've moved around quite a bit. And so I've lost a good number of images that I've taken over the years because either when I moved, I forgot to copy them over from my work computer over to my private computer, or I also had this massive. I had a laptop crash on me, so I lost a lot of data that way. Whole big thing. So sadly, I don't have any real good pictures of the Andromeda Galaxy, not Andromeda Galaxy, the Orion Nebula, and the Orion Nebula is my favoriteest of the nebulas.
Do you have something you can show us of that, or not anymore?
I don't know. Let's explore. What do we have?
I'm sure. I don't remember if Steve showed it, but the only time. Wait, no, yeah, because he showed the belt, the Orion's belt. I remember that because of Men in Black.
Mm-hmm.
The cat with the collar.
Good movie.
I love that. That's where I get my science from. I'm not going to pretend I'm something I'm not. I'm definitely not a science person. It amazes me and it's overwhelming, but it's because I get happy and excited about it. I get overwhelmed.
I'm going to stop sharing this screen and I'm going to share. Let's go with that one. And
that's pretty cool, Doctor.
And
that's a nice thing. Are you ready for me to put that up?
Yeah, you could.
Is this the
there
Google?
We go.
The Google?
The Googles, yes.
Oh, wait. Let me put my little avatar out of the way. Hold on. I need to internet for a second. Hang on. Oh, there we go.
So yeah, weird. It's not. I guess when I clicked on I clicked to zoom in on this Wikipedia image, and it's showing on my screen, but it's not showing here. Oh well. But yeah, you can see the Orion Nebula in its glory, and the Orion Nebula is huge. So the thing that I'm planning on doing now is when I do actually shoot the Orion Nebula, I plan on doing a mosaic, and it's probably going to be something like an 8x8. Because the Orion Nebula is just immense. And the thing I love about the Orion Nebula is not only is it just, to me, a beautiful thing to look at, it is an active star forming region. And so if you can look in the tiny center, you can see like 4 bright stars in the tiniest center of this. And those are the big blue stars that form really fast and very quickly and are basically pushing out. The reason why you can see all of that gas is because it's being fluoresced like a fluorescent light. The energy coming off those blue stars is basically literally lighting up the space around it and lighting up the gas around it.
That's cool.
And given the distance, the Orion Nebula is only about, I want to say a few thousand light years away, maybe even closer. And so given the amount of time it takes for a star to form, which is on the order of millions of years or tens of millions of years, when you look at it, even with the light travel time, you can literally say that this is you are seeing stars forming as it happens. Oh yes, I probably shouldn't shoot the Orion Nebula. I should image the Orion Nebula. Yes, that is a much better way of framing that. Yes.
See, I is that the little line and out. I'll just hit my hand. Don't
Oh.
mind me. Is that the belt? Well, I'm saying that as if you can see what I'm pointing at. You
So
cannot see what.
if you look at this picture, let me see if I can. If you look at, can you see my cursor?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I don't know how well you can see this, but this is Orion. This is Betelgeuse up here. This is Rigel down here. These three stars are the belt of Orion. This is the, shall we say, sword of Orion. Got to keep things wholesome. And the Orion Nebula is right there. Basically, it's a blurry patch. So there are three stars that come down from Orion's belt, and the middle one, you can, when you look at it with your naked eye, actually does appear blurry, and that is because of all the gas that surrounds it.
Ooh,
So it's right there. I don't know if I can make that bigger. Nope, that's YouTube. No, I don't want
astrophotography.
Go away.
Do you like all the different names that comes out with like that people come out with to name these things?
Like the names
So
of
what is
nebula
them?
and stars and such.
Mhm.
Astronomers, modern day astronomers anyway, are really crap at naming things. As I made when I was talking about Uranus, I was talking about the fact that telescopes have really romantic names like the Very Large Array or the Very Large Telescope. That is literally that is what they're called. It's one of the telescopes. There are four of them. They are the Very Large Telescopes. There is the 30-meter telescope, which is being built, which, as you might guess, is 30 meters in size. So
wow.
Which, to give you an idea, is 30 times the size of the telescope that I'm using to take these images. But so some of the names are a little weird, or some of the names are a little boring. But then you get into what namings of nebula, and that tends to get into a little bit of weird, because it's kind of like the constellations. Orion, I can almost see it. I'm like, all right, that's kind of like, that's a dude. Got shoulders. I can see that belt. Sure, why not? Dolphinus, that constellation. I'm like, all right, that looks kind of like a dolphin-ish if I squint. But
Strawberry?
Which one?
The Strawberry Nebula?
The Strawberry Nebula.
That looks like a strawberry.
That one looks like a strawberry. But the Tarantula Nebula, I don't know if that looks like a tarantula. It looks blobby, but not sure. The Horsehead Nebula definitely looks like a horsehead. Definitely looks like a horsehead.
I just googled the Tarantula Nebula, and it looks like an X. A little bit. Although there is one image that it kind of looks a little bit like if you close your eyes, both of them, it kind of looks like one.
If you close both your eyes and just imagine it looks like, yeah.
No, it does actually, if you kind of squint a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can share to show so that you once you're done with your one.
I'll stop with mine.
Ah, thank you. And just because you mentioned it, sort of thing.
Oh, I want to comment on part of Tusk's comment. I also approve somewhat of the utilitarian names, because we're running into another problem in astronomy, which is we are starting to name things after astronomers. And so the James Webb Space Telescope, which is theoretically the successor to Hubble, We're finding out that James Webb was a massive homophobe. And so
Uh,
probably need to rename that, or probably should have come up with just, space telescope. So,
you kind of see it a little here, no?
yeah, I
The
guess.
bum, the head, and little leggies.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Maybe a little bit here. A
Yeah,
little
that
bit.
one.
Not
I
as
think
much as this one.
I think my senses would have to be a little altered in order to get that one. But yeah,
This
that one.
one for sure, though.
Yeah, okay. I can almost see it now.
I was looking at this one. I was like,
It looks like,
kind
I
of
don't
a
know, giant
body.
weird brain thingy there.
Yeah, but then this one,
I'm like, okay.
legs. But I think I like the strawberry one.
I don't know if I've actually seen the strawberry one.
Mm,
Oh, that's cute.
There's probably a good picture of it.
That is very cute. Um, that's got to be a planetary nebula, much like the dumbbell nebula that I showed you.
It's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, I like it. Um,
I wish there to be. I'll turn my
oh
stream
yeah,
off.
I agree with Docs.
Um.
Look up the Cat's Eye Nebula,
Oh right, sorry. I'll do that just now. Um.
and also the Helix Nebula. Those are
Oh,
two of them.
I need to remember my spelling, so bear with me.
Oh sure.
Ooh. I wish I sent that as. I wish I could. Nope, that is StreamYard. Google. There we go. Look!
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
All of that came from one star.
Wow, right?
Yeah.
It's a nebula ring. I hear you, Budgie. She's
Did
like, no
Budgie get out
cats,
of the
no cats.
out of its cage?
Yeah, she does sometimes. She's got her cage open all the time, so she can do what she wants. But she likes to sit in the cage and shout at the birds outside and pretend she's a big scary budgie. But she's anything but either of them. Ooh, see, this is what I was talking about when I was saying
Oh
about it'd be nice
yeah,
to have it as a necklace.
that is nice.
This is really pretty.
Try the Helix Nebula. I think that's that. I
Okay.
think that's the one I want.
Um,
Or or as I normally call it, the God's Eye Nebula. Yeah, that's it. It's kind of like the Eye of
whoa!
Sauron.
Look at that one. Can you see my mouse?
Yes.
This one. This one's cool. This one does look like an eyeball. They all do. That one's creepy a little bit.
Those are a little creepy. The Eye of God ones on your right.
Right. These ones.
Yes, those definitely look. So that blue dot in the center that you can see, that is a white dwarf. That is actually the remnant of the star the nebula stems from. So
Oh.
all of that gas was all trapped in that one particular point. So yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I don't know the specifics behind James Webb, well, the story behind James Webb, but from my understanding, he was outspoken about his beliefs. So he was more of just a product of his time. He was outspoken on how he felt about things, to the point that even people back then were like, "Whoa, you're a little extreme."
Yeah,
Red Dwarf is an awesome show.
I do like horse head.
Have you
Should
not
I
seen the
look-
Horsehead Nebula?
At least I don't remember seeing it.
You should Google it.
You want? Do we share with the class?
Sure.
Oh, wow! And you get to look at these stuff all day or whenever you want.
I can look at well, I
Oh,
can take images that look kind of like that one that you're pointing at now.
this one.
Um, that one, I have. There was a student here who's taken images of the horse head that are not quite that good because he's still very much of a beginner, but yeah, they're close. That's probably a Hubble image, if I had to make a guess.
Yeah. Oh, that looks like a fantasy world. I think it's amazing that well, you take pictures of these things
Yes.
so far away. And they're beautiful and intricate and colorful and
Can I show you
well,
one of the nebulas that makes me giggle?
yes, please do. I stopped sharing as well, so you're able to. That's so cool.
Okay, this might be verging on this. I don't know how wholesome this is, but
Oh, so we do a slightly non-wholesome moment and to try and be sensible with the non. Oh yes.
I giggle every time.
Yeah, I see that. Tuss did that the other day.
So yeah, that is the Carina Nebula.
That's
That
the
is also
version.
one of the. That is actually what we call a molecular cloud core. That is basically that is the very beginnings of star formation. So this cloud is
Mm.
going to um, that cloud is going to collapse down under its own gravity, not because of relative density, but under its own gravity, it's going to collapse down and form one or multiple stars.
Oh.
I
Have
think
you
Tuss
taken
asked
pictures of
if
that?
I discovered an astronomical body and got to name it. What would that name be?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. That is a
Would
very
you call it the Rob?
um depends. Yes, if it's a planet, it's the Rob's planet. It's
Yeah.
literally Rob World. That would be
Yeah.
if I discovered
Sounds
if I were to
awesome.
discover a planet, it would be Rob World, and I have a chance to do that because the group that I'm working with here at George Mason, that's part of our business is to actually find planets. So I don't think I'll actually get to name the thing, but if I did, it would be Rob World. If it wasn't a planet, I would probably just name it George because I would love it,
George.
hug it, and squeeze it,
And
and call it
it'll be
George.
all your George. I will hug it and pet it and squeeze it and love it and it'll be all my George.
Exactly. But unfortunately, speaking of
Wow.
naming things, um, astronomers have gotten kind of sort I'm looking for. Um, Party poopers. That's what I'm going to call them.
Are
Party
we
poopers.
party poopers? What are they doing?
So, so there was a guy, and I've forgotten his name, but he was a very prolific asteroid finder, and he found asteroids and comets. And this was back in like the '80s, and he decided, and he would name them, and he would usually the Robula, nice. Um, he would name them, and he would usually go with the mythological conventions and name it after some kind of Greek or Roman mythological figure. But one of the times he was like, "No, skirt, I'm going to name it Mr. Spock after my cat."
Yes.
Who actually there is a picture of this guy's cat, and the cat does look like Mr. Spock. It has really long, pointy ears. And the International Astronomical Union, the IAU, decided, nope, we're going to put a kibosh on that. We're not allowing people to name things anymore. We're going to name things. So the
Ruiners.
IAU has taken it upon themselves that they are They're only going to allow their names to be to put forward. For example, the uh, the dwarf planet or the minor planet Eris, which is
Mm-hmm.
beyond the orbit of Pluto. The original the people who found it, Dan Brown or David Brown, who found it, he named it Xena.
Oh.
Then they found a moon around Xena, and they named it Gabrielle. But IAU was like, nope, that is not a proper mythological figure. So no, we're going to name it Eris, and I can't even remember what the moon was called. Personally, I would have loved to have planet Xena and Gabrielle.
Yeah. I think loads of people would.
Mm-hmm. There's a certain romance about names like. I refer to those as license plate names. Yes. Oh, is Pluto Pluto a planet? Um,
Oh.
yes. I'm just gonna. Yes, it is. The IAU can go jump. The IAU
Yay!
decided that it was not a planet, but its definition is silly. The proper definition of a planet should be if it's spherical under its own mass and it orbits a star, it's a planet. Yes, make Pluto a planet again, but I'm not going to put that on a hat.
It should be on a hat. That's an acceptable slogan.
All right.
I remember when I found out, I was having a very emotional day, and then we got told that Pluto wasn't a planet, and I cried because I felt so bad for poor Pluto. I was like, why would you do that to it? He's
I,
taking
I,
away
I,
his planetary rights.
I knew people
No.
who were at that meeting who voted on that, and I'd be like, did you demote Pluto? And a couple of them did. I'm like,
Oh,
no, how can you do
outcast them,
that?
cancel them.
Well, one of them was my department chair at the time, so I was like, "Oh, that's interesting that you did that. I don't know if I would have gone that direction, sir." But
Uh-oh.
yeah, like, all right, okay.
Okay, bye,
But
Tusk. Bye.
Tuska's leaving.
No, he said over his dead body. So
Oh,
it'll be a planet. So bye, honey.
Pluto is a planet the same way hot dogs are sandwiches. Pluto is a planet. It is a binary planet because that would be cool and it makes sense physically. None of this dwarf planet nonsense.
Oh no! They did it to a little baby. Oh.
Yes, technically, I feel like I'm saying that word too often, but part of the definition that it violates is that Pluto does not clear its orbit. It does not. It doesn't. It's not a bully. It doesn't push objects of similar size out of its orbital path. And there are problems with that definition because essentially a planet, the same object, if you were to somehow manage to magically move it within the solar system, that same object would be considered a planet in certain parts of the solar system and not a planet in certain other parts of the solar system. And there's no physical rationale for why, because it's putting a constraint on the world that I don't think needs to be there.
I just think it's mean. I mean, not that the planet has particular feelings, but I've personified it for years. Because I always liked Pluto, because it was my favorite, because it was just a little tiny one.
Pluto is awesome. You've seen pictures of New Horizons where it's got the heart. It's got a heart on it. How can you not like Pluto?
Yeah, it's literally like, love me.
Exactly. Pluto is awesome.
It's
Yep.
the cute little anime girl of the planet world. And people have demoted it. It's horrible.
Yeah, like I said, if I ever am at if they ever bring that back to a vote and I'm able to to join the IAU. I will join the IAU specifically so that I could vote on that resolution and
Yeah,
bring
fight
Pluto
for
back.
Pluto.
The ironic thing was there was a discussion I saw between two scientists. I can't remember who the one guy was, but he was talking to the principal investigator for New Horizons, the telescope that went to Pluto, and he was the other guy was telling the New Horizons investigator that American school children should not be required to memorize 50 of anything, because the
Oh,
idea is the more generalized the definition, if you go by the definition that I gave, spherical under its own mass and it orbits the star, then the solar system could very well have tens of planets, nearly 50 planets. But what was ironic was that these are two Americans talking to each other, and one of them is saying that American children shouldn't be allowed to or shouldn't have to memorize 50 of something. I'm like, do you know what
not the
country you live
States?
in?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, the States?
Yeah, we require them to memorize not only the states but their capitals. So yeah,
Yo,
like
no.
maybe that's probably the reason why our educational system is for the birds.
Probably.
But what about the numbers 1 through 50? So yeah, that was one of the stupider arguments I've heard for demoting Pluto was that we can't define it that way because then we'd have too many of them. Like, are you
Oh,
serious? But
so
all
you
right.
abandoned baby Pluto
So yeah, that was one of the
for
rationales
this
behind
little part?
demoting Pluto is because we had too many planets, or possibly could have too many planets. Like, I want all the planets.
Yeah, baby Pluto being number one best boy.
Oh, Dora brings up a touchy subject among astronomers. Uh,
Oh,
is astronomers' treatment of Native Hawaiians has not been, shall we say, the most elegant. Um, we have been a bit two faced in our dealings with the Native Hawaiians, unfortunately, because
oh,
one of our sites, one of the best observing sites in the world, is on Mauna Kea in Hawaii, which is a spiritual site for the Native Hawaiians, and they got into an agreement with us, and they allowed us the privilege of putting telescopes on their site, with the understanding that it wouldn't get too large or too too invasive. And we're like, okay, we'll do that. Oh wait, we're gonna put one more in. Is that okay? We'll take one away, but we're gonna put one more in. And then they'd be like, sure. And then we never took the other one away. So we just kept adding more and
oh,
more, and
that's not
now,
okay.
yeah, now they are getting very, very annoyed. Oh, yes, I see.
You have
But
every right. I realize we're starting to get really close to 2 hours.
yeah, I
I think
noticed that.
you said you didn't think we could talk for 2 hours.
I,
You said you didn't. Don't you worry, we're capable. We're capable. I feel like we could go longer, so I feel like maybe we should take this into Discord for a little while.
okay.
And just because, you know, I don't want to run into anybody else's time on here. And, if the people who want to come to the Discord, they would come to talk about it anyway, I feel, you
Okay.
know. But is there any last questions? And do you have anything to share?
So, I have been off of YouTube for the last couple weeks, but I am planning on coming back, and I will be finally uploading a segment that was highlighted on the plot hole. I am thinking about doing a either once a week or twice monthly space news broadcast where I basically will pick like five topics in science, or five astronomy news bits, and I will present it like a news program. Um, and so I
Mm,
want I've produced a small bit where I talk about Branson's flight, and I also have an opinion section at the end. I'm going to upload that today, see what the reaction is, and if it's really positive, then I'll do it. Well, I'll try to do it once a week. If the reception is okay, then I'll probably only do it maybe twice a month. But I'm doing that. I'm hoping to put out more educational content, and like the Rob World episodes where I talk about specific astronomical events. And then I have two other things that I'm wanting to do. I on Thursday nights I do a live stream, which is, I know is going to sound really really interesting, but I actually show how the sausage is made, where I go into the data reduction process of
Oh,
how
I like that.
how you go from the images that I'm showing you here to things like how bright these stars are, how do the stars actually vary in brightness and time, and ultimately how do we actually model these stars so that we know what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be looking at spots on the surfaces of stars which cause the brightness of that star to vary over time. So that's going to be Thursday nights. Hopefully, I can keep that up. And then Saturday, I'm going to be giving. I want to continue with a lecture series where I just give a lecture off the cuff on astronomy and just go from A to Z in terms of the beginnings of astronomy all the way to the end of astronomy, and that will run for as long as I have lectures to give. So yeah, so that's my shill.
Oh, well, please subscribe to Rob and watch his videos. He's
Yep.
been a lovely guest, so thank you so much for coming. And of course, once we've gone and had a couple more people on, and time has passed a little bit, we will definitely, if you'll come back on, drag you back on. Because this
I
has been
would
a
be
lot of fun.
honored to come back. I would love to come back and talk to you. It would be awesome.
It's been so great. What do I have stuff to show? Yeah. Thursday, the TMI show, which is on, which is not so wholesome content. Warning. Let me just quickly get that. And that will be on A Bit of Tea and Danish's YouTube channel on a Thursday. Oh, that is number 7. I just randomly typed for no reason. So that's A Bit of Tea and Danish's. I've just posted in the side chat. I'm hoping. So Thursday A Bit of Tea and Danish, and Saturday I'm hoping to do a movie night. So it'll be 6 o'clock my time, so it's the same time this starts on Saturday. And we will get together, get popcorn, snacks, and we're going to watch a movie Micro suggested actually, about some drag artists. I won't give too much away, just in case. And it seems a lot of fun, so we'll do that. And next week we have a very special guest also, who I will be keeping under wraps and keeping into suspense, which I'm very excited because I've not had the chance to talk to them before, but I believe that you all know who he is.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Who could that be?
So please like and subscribe Rob's videos. Please like and subscribe my videos and Linda's and anybody else who shows themselves in the side chat. I believe there's maybe a games night tonight. I'm not entirely sure. Check out the Discords for that.
I have said that when I hit 100 subs, I will do a live stream where I do 100 push-ups dressed in a Minions onesie. So
right,
that's something you want to see.
get you more subscribers because I want to see this.
I don't know
There
if
are
it's really an
you.
incentive for folks, but I said that I would do it, so
What
I will
is
do it.
that? 59. Rob, people are underrepresenting you right now. Please go, actually go and subscribe to him. We need to see this. He needs more support because he does amazing on his channel. I've seen most of the videos I have seen, it's not been through my YouTube. It's been through me lying in bed with Tusk watching your videos. And so that's why my name's not popped up, but I have seen some of your videos and I do like them.
Appreciate
So
that.
people, get your butts over there, share him some love because he deserves it.
And apparently Tusk doesn't want to see it.
Well, too bad, honey. Too bad. So anybody, if you're wanting to show, do send your videos in the side chat while the outro plays. Are you gonna ready to say bye-bye?
Bye-bye.
Okay, don't forget to do the thingies. Just pushing you again. Get to Rob's channel.
Yay! Okay. I got at least one sub.
Yay to that sub. And I shall do the outro. Be lovely, be your beautiful selves. See you in the Discord.
Sounds good.
That is the wrong intro. That's an intro for the petting zoo. I forgot also to say, if you want to be on, message me, please. Sorry, you also said something. I accidentally cut you off.
No, I think I was saying something like hit the like button, subscribe, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're really gonna go. Bye.